In 2025, in a world where artificial intelligence, social media, and digital lifestyles had woven themselves into every corner of human life, a mysterious organization called the Orion Project announced the launch of a special program named the 100 Youth. Its stated goal was brief and cryptic. We will observe, guide, and evaluate the 40-year journey of 100 individuals, all 25 years old, to discover what truly makes a successful life. The program wasn't widely publicized. In fact, the founders' identities remained completely anonymous. Yet rumors spread rapidly among communities passionate about self-development. Some believed it was a covert initiative by a global tech conglomerate experimenting with a new societal model. Others were convinced it was an elite game, where the chosen few would become the new symbols of humanity. Min, a young programmer living in Ho Chi Minh City, received an invitation to a secret selection session. There were no skill tests, no degree checks, just a series of probing questions that dove deep into the mind and subconscious. What do you truly want? Whose expectations are you living by? If you weren't afraid of failure, what would you do right now? No one knew the criteria for selection. But just a week later, the internal list of the 100 was finalized. Each participant was given a wearable device called LUX, an AI-powered tool that tracked biological, psychological, and behavioral data daily. They were also granted access to a mind training system and paired with an anonymous mentor who only communicated through an encrypted interface. From the very first day, a message appeared on LUX's display that Min couldn't look away from. You are about to begin the most important journey of all, a conversation with yourself. All 100 started from the same ground level, no special privileges, no financial support. They were only asked to do one thing. Choose a goal so big it forces you to change in order to reach it. Min chose a simple yet daring mission: to build a platform that helps people take control of and reprogram their own minds. What he didn't know was that this goal would lead him into a maze of unexpected discoveries about the mind, success, and a forgotten secret of humanity. And the other 99? Each followed a different path. But after 40 years, only 5 would achieve what they wrote down on that very first day. Why only 5? The answer, as Min would gradually uncover, had nothing to do with talent or luck, but something deceptively simple. The thoughts you repeat in your mind every single day. As the years passed, the 100 youth gradually approached their 30s, that age society often sees as the defining chapter of adulthood. The LUX devices still tracked every step, every minute of thought, every daily decision. But no one talked about the experiment anymore. The Orion Project had gone completely silent. No reminders. No rewards. As if it had never existed at all. Some began to question. Was this all just a long, elaborate joke? Was anyone really watching? But Min was different. Even without visible results, he kept his ritual, every morning, sitting in front of the mirror, repeating his goal to build a platform that helps people reprogram their own minds. Sometimes, He wasn't even sure if he was still chasing the goal, or simply refusing to be one of the 95 who would fail. From age 30 to 40, the paths of the 100 began to splinter like a spider web. 25 gradually let go. They called their old goals youthful illusions. They returned to stable lives, working jobs they didn't love, but that paid the bills. 30 kept searching, bouncing from job to job, diving into personal development courses, but with no clear direction. Their minds were constantly caught between too many choices. 20 got swept into the whirlpool of life, debt, family pressure, illness. They lost connection with their LUX and treated the experiment as something long dead. 20 stayed quietly committed to their goals. Not famous, not rich, but unwavering in a way that felt almost strange. Min was one of them. And then there were 5 who began to rise. They weren't just moving toward their goals, they were shaping the world around them. Their names started appearing in the media. Yet they never mentioned their involvement in the 100 youth. One night, Min received an unexpected message on LUX, the first in 15 years. The separation point has begun. From now on, you will no longer see the other 95. You are entering phase 2. And suddenly, he understood. The experiment had never ended. It had simply been waiting, watching silently, for the ones who were resolute enough to step into the next layer, where the true secrets would begin to surface. Who were the 5? Was Min one of them? Or was he still standing at the fragile edge, between determination and surrender? That question would follow him for the rest of the journey ahead. After the message from LUX, Min suddenly found himself cut off from everyone in the 100 youth group. No replies to his messages. His contacts vanished. Even the internal social network created by the Orion project had been wiped clean, every profile gone. It was as if someone had scrubbed the past, leaving Min to walk forward alone. He received a single invitation, a set of anonymous coordinates and DLAT, marked simply, "Activate Phase 2." Without hesitation, Min set off. The location was a secluded villa nestled deep in the pine forest, modern, yet eerily silent. There, Min met 4 others, each also wearing an LUX, each carrying the same quiet intensity. No one said much, just exchanged knowing glances. They all understood. They were the final 5. That night, in a small screening room inside the villa, a video played, the first direct message from Orion in nearly 2 decades. "We did not seek the smartest, the wealthiest, or the luckiest. We sought 5 individuals who continuously and intentionally thought toward a worthy goal. Even without rewards, even when no one was watching. Because the greatest secret, the strangest secret, is this. You become exactly what you think about all day long. No one gives you success. You become success." Min felt like lightning had struck him. The words were simple, but they illuminated his entire journey. Through doubt, isolation, And the countless moments he wanted to give up, what had kept him going wasn't external motivation. It was the quiet, unbroken image in his mind of who he wanted to become. The five were invited to take part in a 5-day intensive training, not focused on skills, but on thought mastery, how to direct thinking, reprogram the subconscious, control emotion, and discipline the mind as a survival tool. This was no longer a competition, it was a reconstruction of how humans create their own reality. At the end of day 5, each was asked to step into the reflection room, a space where LUX would replay their entire life back to them, unconscious thoughts, tiny habits, and every choice that led to their current reality. Min sat there, watching, not with his eyes, but with his mind. And in that moment, he understood. Success was never a destination. It was always the inevitable result of a journey marked by consistent, honest, and resilient thinking. The door to phase 3 opened quietly. Min stepped through. When Min stepped through the door to phase 3, he didn't enter a high-tech control room as he had imagined. Instead, he found himself in a familiar, chaotic street. Hanoi. Noisy, gritty, real. The villa was gone. The forest, gone. Even the LUX device on his wrist had vanished. Everything had disappeared. Min stood in shock. He had been reset back into everyday life. His old job, old friends, even the unpaid bills had returned. As if the past 3 years had been nothing but a dream. But there was one crucial difference. Min now knew the secret. No one remembered Orion. No one mentioned the 100 youth. Everyone else had snapped back to their former lives. But Min was no longer the same person. He had been given the final challenge. A test with no judges, no rewards, and no audience. Live in the old world, with the mind of someone who knows. The first days were rough. Friends mocked him for quitting a stable job. His family worried as he started over with nothing but a laptop and an idea. Pressure closed in. There were no leaderboards. No mentor. No structured training path. Just one quiet, relentless question echoing in Min's mind. Do I still believe enough to hold on to the image of the person I want to become? Gradually, something shifted. Min began to see the world through a new lens. The people around him weren't lazy or less capable, they simply didn't think differently. They lived on autopilot. By the clock. By fear. And it was here, in this ordinary world, the place where 95 out of 100 had quit, that the real test began. Because the truth is, success isn't found in Orion's training villa. It's found in drowsy Monday mornings, in high-pressure meetings, in those quiet, difficult decisions made when no one is watching. So Min continued. Every morning, he spent 15 minutes vividly imagining his goal. He learned to repeat empowering thoughts when discouraged. He adjusted his tone, his reactions, his way of bouncing back from failure. Life didn't transform overnight. But Min did. And that, slowly but surely, changed everything. 3 years after leaving Orion, Min sat alone in a small coffee shop, watching the endless stream of people pass by. On his wrist rested the LUX device, the same one that had once vanished. But this time, it hadn't been returned to him. He had earned it back, not with money, but with his life. The small company he had built in a tiny rented room had now expanded into the international market. Ideas once laughed at were now quoted in the media. But what made Min smile wasn't the success, it was the person he had become. He no longer lived on autopilot. He lived by choice. Min opened an old box where he had once stored notes from Orion. A small slip of paper fell out, with a handwritten message on the back. If you're reading this after 3 years, congratulations. You've passed the final test. But remember, success is not the destination. It's only the beginning. Min chuckled. Just then, a soft notification appeared on the LUX screen. Orion, you are invited to return in a new role, mentor. A new door had opened. He was no longer the chosen. He was now the one who would choose. The one who would lead. The journey wasn't over. It had simply leveled up. Because once you understand the strangest secret, that you become what you think about most of the time, you realize that every day is another chance to plant seeds of success in the mind of someone still finding their way. And this time, Min wouldn't walk alone. Min's story isn't a strange journey. It's a real one. The kind of journey anyone can begin if they dare to believe they were born not just to survive, but to succeed in their own way. The LUX device, the Orion City, and the imagined trials. They're just metaphors. Because the real world works the same way. Every thought is a seed. Every decision, a step. And anyone, if they stay true to a worthy goal, can become the keeper of the strangest secret. We become what we think about most of the time. Min's journey isn't over. And just like you reading these final lines, he's come to understand. Success is not a destination. It's a habit. The habit of someone who knows where they're going. So, have you chosen your direction yet? If not, start. Start now. The clock is ticking. On the very first moment of your real life.